Alright, I've been watching a few videos on the old YouTube lately, and I've noticed there's a lot of videos, particularly there's some actually by big companies, and what they do, like for example, Argos was one of them. You know, they've got a video saying about if you've got a petrol, they've got like a technical support channel, and they're saying if you've got a petrol lawnmower and it won't start after a winter in the shed, you need to clean the spark plug. Well, while that is somewhat true, possibly you can clean the spark plug. You just take it out and give it a clean with a wire brush, and then after you've cleaned it, put it back in. If it doesn't work, buy a new one. Well, then they've completely skipped out the testing process for testing a spark plug to see if your spark is there. And they've also completely missed out to check the gap. They've also completely missed out some other factors as to why your mower won't start or your engine won't start, which is slightly strange. Now you might be wondering why we're looking at an engine on this moped. That's because I'm going to show you in a minute one of the other reasons why your engine might not start. But first I need to find a spark plug. Like I said, for some stupid reason they've missed out. You know, they've basically just said you need to take the spark plug out, give it a clean with a wire brush, and then put it back in. If it doesn't work, buy a new one. Well, it's just pretty pointless, because there could be other problems, and you go and spending money buying a new spark plug, putting it in, and it still doesn't work. What you need to do is give it a clean by all means, but before you put it back in, you need to check to make sure you've actually got a spark, because there could be some things that have happened in the shed over the winter that would stop the spark from being produced. So to check your spark, all you do is you've got your metal engine head or casing or whatever, anything that's earth, put that spark plug in your little HT lead cap, and then put it on there like that, somewhere. That'll do. So that then all you got to do is pull your pull start. I can't on this one because I ain't got one. Or turn your engine over basically and make sure that it's actually switched on. So you've pulled your little switch on your mower, so the way you'd usually start it. Pull the pull cord or turn the engine over, and you should see a nice spark in that gap there between the electrode. That means you've got a spark and it should start. If there's no spark there, you don't need to go and buy a new spark plug, because it might not be the spark plug. You should check a few things before spending any money. So we're assuming you've got no spark, so now you've got to go and check a few other little things. Alright, now we're moving on to this, because this is easier for me to take apart in the position I've got it in. It's the same sort of thing. On your lawnmower you'll have a set of points. I don't believe, well, there probably is some mowers, really modern expensive mowers, but even brand new mowers now still have a carburetor, and they'll still have a set of points. Now if you've got no spark, you need to take off your bell housing. On this particular one it's just a simple nut. Different mowers will be different. I mean, what I will do is whenever I get different types of mowers, I will do a video on how to do it on different types of mowers. But for now I'm just showing you or telling you what you need to do, because it'll be all different designs. You might have different ways of getting to them, etc. But this is what you need to do. You need to check your points. So if you can find out how to check them, it'll be quite magnetized, very magnetic, trying to get that off, because there's obviously a set of magnets inside. You need to remember how they go on, so either make a mark or something. It's always best to put something on the way that it came off anyway. So just pull this off. It really is a strong magnet trying to get that thing off, and I'm not sure if I better do it with my left hand, because I'm actually right-handed and I'm holding the camera with the right hand. Jesus. Oh, there we go. Right, and inside here we've got a little set of magnets and some coils. Now if there's any rust on here, which this actually does have some rust on, it will stop any... Oh, that's a really bad one, look. These need to be clean, yeah? Because these need to rub past each other. Well, they don't literally rub, they pass past each other. And that creates electricity, right? Both magnets. So if there's rust on there, there is not going to be, you know, much potential for any electric to be created. So these need to be cleaned. Now, over time, sitting in your shed over the winter, there's a very high chance that rust could be formed on this part or on these. I mean, as you can see on mine, because this has been sitting in the shed now for about 8 years, there's a little bit of rust on there. So this is going to cost you no money to fix, man. Yeah, you could have gone out and bought a brand new spark plug, spent like 2-3 quid or dollars or whatever it is your country you're in, and you come back and put it in and it still don't work. And then you might even go and pay somebody to fix it. Whereas you don't need to pay anybody to do anything, because you can do it. So you need to then go and get a bit of sandpaper and just rub it, or even a wire brush if you can get it in there, and just rub that rust off. Don't rub it too much, you just want to sand the rust off. That's all you want to do, sand the rust off each one. And sand any rust off any of these. There's 4 of them. Just sand the rust off, make sure everything works, make sure everything's okay. Just turn the little... don't know if I'll be able to turn it. Oh, I should be able to turn it. It seems to be okay, yeah? We're just assuming everything's alright after this. This is the basics, right? We're going into just basics of checking to see why your engine won't start after sitting in the shed. Because it was watching this thing, particularly the Argos one, that got me thinking, bloody hell, you know? There could be innocent people out there that don't have a clue, and they're thinking, oh, my lawnmower won't start. I know what I'll do. I bought it from Argos, so I'll go to the Argos technical support team, and I'll ask them why it's not working, and I'll watch this video. Now I've actually gone out and spent some money on a new spark plug, and it's not the solution. And then they'll probably go and pay bloody somebody, to Argos, to fix it, when they're a multi-million-pound company anyway. They don't need extra money. Right, then you just put that back on, put the old nut back on once you've sanded it all off and all that stuff, and you go back and do the same process again, what I showed you on how to check the spark. And fingers crossed this time, as long as everything else is alright, you know, you check your wires and things like that, but there's not a lot else to go wrong. You should have a nice spark, and then you should be well away. Now in these particular, well, there's a few of them I was watching, and they were like, you know, after you've checked all your spark plug and all that stuff, they're like, well, now you're going to need to empty out any old fuel. Well, while they say that petrol does have a shelf life as such of 2 weeks, it will in fact be fine if it's a year or 2 old, or even 6 months if you're sat in the shed for the winter. I mean, I've got petrol in my mower that's been in there for the past 2 and a bit years, and it still runs fine. I mean, petrol, it will become less explosive, but it won't go off as such. And you better, you know, if it's just a lawnmower, you're better start it up. I mean, even if it's got half a tank, you don't need to empty it out and waste that fuel that you've put in there, yeah? Just put fresh fuel in there and it'll be fine. You don't need to go emptying your fuel out as they recommend. I mean, they're just telling you that because, I don't know, maybe they want to waste people's money. I don't know. But you don't need to empty the fuel out. Especially if it's only sat in the shed for the winter for 6 months. You know, you don't need to empty it out. Just start it up. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So really, all you need to do, well, you don't even need to do it, you know. In these videos, I've noticed they're like, the first thing you should do after you get out your mower from the shed, they don't even mention checking the oil. They go, the first thing you should do is take the spark plug out. But they don't say, if your mower won't start. They're like, well, you should, I don't know, they're crazy, man. Just get it out the shed, yeah? Get it out the shed, give it a quick look over to make sure no mouses have chewed any of the wires or nothing, and any of the fuel line. And then it's as simple as make sure it's got a bit of petrol in it, check the oil to make sure the oil is still looking good, because I would doubt it to have any condensation in it. It's very unlikely. Make sure there's enough in there. Start it up. Oh, better make sure your blade's alright, because you might have used it last time and it might have come loose. But hey, give it a once over, give it a quick little visual service and start it up and go cut grass to your heart's content. You know? You don't need to do all these stuff. And I can't believe that, you know, the way that they tell you to do some things, you know? They just make things very, well, difficult, and people that don't have a clue are going to be standing there fanning about doing things they don't even need to do, wasting their own time when they don't need to do it. So there you go. Simple. Like I said, I'm going to be doing various videos on how to get the Elite engine running. I'm currently in the process of getting this one going again. Little simple 2-stroke engine. And as I get more mowers, at the minute I've only got the two. Suffolk Punch ones, that one, and another one that's pretty much identical. So I might do a video on those to try and tell you how to get them running. But as I get more of the little, the ordinary mowers, you know, rotary mowers that people are most likely to have in their gardens, I'll try and do my best to help you get those running in case you have any issues. I think I've already done many videos last summer about them. Actually, I had a few Sovereign mowers, and what other ones did I have? A Briggs and Stratton one I'd done a video of, how to get it going and things like that. But you know, it's usually the basic things. What people get them out the shed and they're like, oh no, it won't start, I'd better go and pay somebody £1 million to fix it. Well, do it yourself, man. It's easy. Sweet.